Hi, this is Laurie Kiser from Ocean Point Marine Lending, a division of Bank Newport. Welcome to our series of You Ask, We Answer questions about boat financing. We are coming to you today from the South River, which is just on the Chesapeake Bay, right around the corner from Annapolis. So today we're going to ask some questions, just throw them out there and have some discussion around those. So here we go. All right, what's our first question?
Do you only lend on new boats?
All right, great question, because a lot of people out there think that there's only financing available on brand new boats, and that is not the case. So we have many different lending sources, and they all have different guidelines on what age of boat they will lend on, but we do have sources that will go all the way back to the early 80s for financing. So there are different terms and rates, though, dependent on the age of the boat. So your lowest rates and your longest terms are going to be on those boats that are brand new all the way to like 10 years old. So right now you're looking at sort of 2011 and newer for those lowest rates and longest terms, which right now is 20 years. And then when you get to the 15 and 20 year age of the boat, there are still many sources available. You still have a 20-year term. The rate might be a little bit higher depending on the bank. And then when you get older than 20 years, then the rates are still very competitive, but your term might be reduced to like a 15-year term instead of a 20-year term. All right, on to our next question.
What rate and terms are available?
All right, so that's a really hard question to answer. So you think it might be very simple, that there's just one rate out there. You might see some rates advertised online or on different websites, or maybe at the brokerage house that you are working with. But those rates that you see advertised are usually the lowest possible rate available. And there are so many different factors that go into determining the rate and the term. So one of those factors is the age of the boat. So we talked before about how old can a boat be, and we can go back to 30 years on the age of a boat. But you're going to have different rates for new boats versus rates that are for boats that are 30 years old. Some other factors that go into it: obviously your credit history, comparable credit history, your income, debt to income ratios. All of those factors go into determining the rate as well. The other thing to think about is your finance amount tier. So the rates are determined by what tier your finance amount or your loan amount falls into. So your lowest rates are going to be for amounts that are above 150,000, and then as the finance amount decreases, the rate tends to increase. So if we're below 100,000 on the rate, then your rate's going to be a little bit higher than if your loan amount were above 100,000. So there's so many different factors that go into the rate. Really, the best thing to do is to talk to your marine finance professional, go over the different factors, what boats you might be considering, your credit history, what your budget is, and what down payment you're thinking about doing on the boat, and that will really help sort of key in or zero in on what that rate might be. All right, what's our next question?
Can I charter or live aboard my boat?
All right, great question. So let's first talk about charter. There are different uses for boat. Your most common one is pleasure or recreational use, and that is your typical standard, family use or fishing use, whatever you're using the boat for. So charter, there's two different types of charter. You've got your fishing charter, which is where you might be taking a group of buddies or your family out for a day charter of fishing. And then there is the charter where you might be renting your boat out for an entire week to a family or a group of friends, and they're using your boat, having a vacation on your boat for the week. So let's first talk about the fishing charter. So as long as it's not commercial use, that it stays recreational or pleasure use, and it's done part-time, then we do have some sources that are okay with that, part-time charter for fishing. If it's used for commercial use, though, if you need like that commercial designation on your boat, then there are very few sources that allow for that. They consider that more of a commercial boat loan. But if it's just recreational pleasure use and occasionally or part-time for fishing charters, it's totally fine. We've got some sources for that. Now moving on to the charter boat where it's used for vacation purposes. You're renting it out for the week. Again, there's different programs available. There are some that if it's in a managed charter fleet, say down in the BVIs, we do have a source that allows for that. But let's say it's on the East Coast somewhere and it's just sort of like a part-time thing that you're doing. We have some sources for that too. The programs are a little different depending on what that charter use is, whether it's full-time, whether it's part-time, where that boat is kept. So the best thing to do is really just to talk to your marine finance professional about those details and about the options that are out there. All right, so now to talk about the live-aboard situation. So first I'd like to define what a live-aboard is. So a lot of times people think, oh, I live aboard in the summer, so I'm a live-aboard. So that's not quite the definition of it in the bank's eyes. So the way the bank looks at it is that boat is your primary residence 365 days a year. You have no other residence and you live full-time on your boat. That truly is the definition of a live-aboard. So if you do want to be a live-aboard, we do have sources that are okay with that. They've got a nice program, very competitive rates and terms for live-aboard situations. All right, what's our next question?
Do I have to work with a yacht broker?
All right, so no, you do not need to work with a yacht broker, but it's highly recommended that you do. So if you're buying a boat for the first time, or maybe this is your 6th or 7th boat, it's always recommended that you, if you can, work with a yacht broker, especially a licensed yacht broker. There's no cost or fee to you to work with a yacht broker, so all the advantages are on your side. They're really going to help you find a boat that fits your budget and all of your needs and your family's needs, as well as help with that negotiating process, the survey process, any sort of maintenance or repair items that need to be addressed before you take ownership of that boat. So again, there's no negatives to working with a yacht broker at all, only positives, only advantages for you. What they're also going to do is make sure that you are getting clear title to the boat. So that's always very important with the paperwork and you taking ownership of a boat. You want to make sure that there's nothing in the past of that boat that's going to be a hindrance or a problem to you later on. So always recommended to work with a yacht broker. All right, so what's our final question for today?
I've never bought a boat before. What are some of the things I should consider?
All right, so really great question, and I've got some key points of advice for those buyers out there that have never bought or owned a boat before. So there's lots to consider, lots of factors to consider, and the biggest piece of advice I'm going to give is to work with a yacht broker if you can. They're really going to take you through the process step by step. The first step of that is really determining what your needs are in a boat, what you want, what you think you're going to be using the boat for, and they're going to help you determine and sort of find what perfect boat out there is for you. They're also going to help you through the negotiating process. They're going to help you through the survey process. Having a boat surveyed is another, highly recommended item, and the reason it's highly recommended is especially for buying a used boat, obviously, you want to have that boat surveyed, but then you've got that survey report to sort of use annually or semi-annually as like a maintenance checklist. So always great to have on hand. Your yacht broker is also going to take you through the closing process as well. So just can't say enough to always work with a yacht broker again if possible. The other things to think about are your budget. So, how to determine whether a boat fits your budget or not if you are going to finance or pay cash, what are the pros and cons of financing. You can also get pre-approved for financing while you're shopping for a boat. So that way you know for sure that you're shopping in the right price range and those boats out there are going to fit your budget. Another factor to consider is insurance. So calling a couple of insurance agents out there to find out what the cost would be to insure your boat annually. The other factor that comes with that is your agent may ask you what experience you have with boating. So sort of what is your boating resume? So be prepared with that answer if possible. Another key factor to consider is trying to get to a boat show. So a boat show is going to give you a wide assortment of boats. So different boat models that you can walk on and take a look at and then compare to a different boat model. So the other thing about boat shows is they're going to be filled with different experts. So you're going to have insurance agents, you're going to have surveyors, you're going to have people from marinas there, you're going to have boat brokers there, you're going to have finance people there. So all these different people that you can ask questions and really get a lot of your research done in one place. Hopefully this answered some of your questions about boat financing. Look for more in our series of You Ask, We Answer on YouTube and our website. Come visit our booth at the Annapolis Boat Show this October. We'd love to meet you. This series of You Ask, We Answer questions on boat financing has been brought to you by Bank Newport. If you'd like, feel free to scan the QR code on the screen. That will take you to my individual landing page with a lot more information, or just email me to say hello.